Shooting games are all about stuff moving in space. You shoot missiles at enemies, they shoot at you, and a back and forth interplay ensues. Gradius has a number of ways to vary on this exchange, even within the first stage. The stuff you're about to hear is from a conversation that I had with Perikles. You can find the conversation in a link, it's going to be in the video description. Some of the words to follow are his, and some of the words to follow are mine. And I hope that's okay. Anyways, about space. Some enemies don't move at all. Some move on a preset path. And some move based on your position. Some shoot aimed bullets. And some shoot a static projectile. Most go down in one hit, but a few withstand multiple hits. Even this skims over much of the character and distinction each enemy unit has. Almost all enemy variation comes from space, whether they fly or shoot through different spaces. By comparison, the extra health of the hatches and the laser turrets confers them a subtle advantage. And in terms of the space around you, there's the environment. The first stage has both a ceiling and a ground that are lethal to touch. While both of them have uneven patches, they have consistently the same thickness for most parts. You can observe this by the missiles. They move across the entire ground, even when it looks like they should get stuck in the small crevices. There are several enemies on the ground and ceiling, so you have to be wary not to crash into the perimeters. However, since none of the enemies are covered by terrain, it's a straightforward task to take them all out. Which leaves plenty of room to experiment with the final element of variation, power-ups. A certain order or preference of power-ups will drastically alter the development of the challenge in this stage. One example? If you select double and missile, you're able to take out every enemy even when occupying the middle of the screen. The laser, on the other hand, requires the player to have the Vic Viper, or at least one option, close to the ceiling if he wants to take them out. And the laser has a much larger hitbox than it looks like. The straight laser is at its best in this specific Gradius game. Afterwards, it never reached those heights again, both literally and figuratively speaking. I'm not sure if this was intended or not, but if you move around a bit, you can hit enemies that visibly never touch the laser. By virtue of this quality, and the rather lacking shot frequency of the double, the latter, while still very useful, is usually not as efficacious as one might think. One crucial aspect of difficulty comes with the amount of speed-ups that are selected. Not only will the Vic Viper accelerate with more speed-ups, the spacing between options will also become larger. This works particularly well with the laser, since it enables the player to have an option all the way up without getting in harm's way. The flip side is that environmental hazards, as well as some dodges, might be more difficult with a faster ship. The regular pea shooter also has an on-screen bullet limit, which rewards aggression. If you're close to your enemies and use auto-fire, or you mash sufficiently fast, you'll be rewarded with much more projectiles than you'd get from far away. This creates a risk-reward relationship of getting close to enemies or steering away from them for safety's sake. I'm not sure what the appeal of these is supposed to be, other than the thrill of racking up some points if you manage to align your options properly, or the visual set piece mayhap. The big core will always try to align itself with the vertical position of the player before shooting its volley of laser beams. Personally, I find this is where I get the most use out of that risk-reward stuff, since you can stay close to the big core and take it out pretty quickly that way.